What the hell?
And this is what German sounds to Hornet.
That was
I guess.
beautiful.
Yeah,
That was. I was moved. It's the Germany Experience, the podcast about life in Germany as seen through the eyes of outsiders. I'm your host, Sean Behrens, and you can visit my website, thegermanyexperience.de, where you can contact me, you can listen to all the episodes and more. And you can even leave me a voicemail message. If you click the little microphone that comes on in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you can leave me a message. And I just got a voicemail just shortly before recording this episode. Take a listen.
Hi, Sean. My name's Cassie, and I come from Australia. However, I just moved to Weimar about 3 weeks ago during all of this pandemic madness. But I just wanted to say I stumbled across your podcast on Spotify, and it is so relatable and has helped me so much in these first few weeks with all the information and advice. I love your work. Keep it up. Thanks.
No, Cassie, I love your work. I don't know what you do, but I love it. I love whatever it is that you do. Thank you so much for leaving a voicemail message. And I love getting messages like that. I really do. So this week, though, is a little different. Usually I have a foreigner or an international who's living in Germany, and occasionally I cover things about German culture. But today is an episode that I've been promising people for a long time and also collecting questions for a long time. And it's called Ask a German, very creatively. I spent a lot of time thinking that up. And the idea is that I would get some Germans on the episode and ask them some questions that you sent me. And you sent me some interesting questions, people. But the Germans that I have are extremely qualified. And by qualified, I mean they're German. That's all they had to be to get on the show. And there are three of them, three Germans, and they're actually the hosts of a German podcast called Ach. And I'll let the guys introduce, but let's start with Dominic, because Dominic's actually no stranger to this podcast.
Am I not? So it's basically the question if people really remember in which episode I've been.
Of course.
But yeah, I'm the movie guy at Ach, and we went through some Schmuddelfilme together and some Karl May-Verfilmungen. So
Yes.
That was basically the episode we did, like the 10 most grossing movies in German history. And I brought with me my two colleagues from Ach, Jürgen and Philip. Philip, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Philip, and I try to be the funny guy, which means like I'm the one who is forced to talk without thinking. And in the end, it turns out sometimes it becomes funny and sometimes not. It's up to you.
What's the ratio? What's the ratio, Philip?
99 to 1.
Okay. All right, we'll leave it open as to which way it's weighted.
Yeah, but I'm also the one who cuts the product in the end, so it way sounds better than in real life. No, all joking aside, I'm really into improv and stuff like that. So yeah, that's my cup of tea. Also, I'm sometimes called like the good conscience of the group, because I'm the one who's like, oh, you could hurt someone by saying that, and then we don't say it or something like that.
Right.
So yeah,
You got to keep them in check.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can
like
name me, okay? You don't have to say they.
I was going to say, I know Dominic, so I know how he needs to be kept in check. So yeah, I can already see you got your work cut out for you.
Yeah. It's like I'm the good conscience, and I would say like Dominic is the liver of the group, and Jürgen is the brain, which leads us to Jürgen.
Yeah, that would be me. So, and usually I'm the well-prepared one, but I wasn't expecting that I was here to introduce myself, so I don't have something prepared right now.
Yeah, he hates that.
Really? Ooh, already got a bit of conflict going on here.
Yeah, but Sean, I must admit, I was expecting you to fully spell out the name of our podcast.
ACH exclamation point.
No.
No, the
whole
long part
thing.
after that.
Oh God. The Trio, oh Jesus Christ, I never remember this. Triumvirat für Humor inspirierte, wait. Historisch inspirierte Humorvermittlung.
Very well.
Ooh, awesome, Sean.
I hate saying that. I never know what it is.
Wait, quite good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
To be honest, it took us like 4 or 5 full episodes, which means like month to get that off our tongues. So,
so just someone briefly tell me what your podcast is about.
Yeah, that's Philip's turn. He really optimized the whole procedure. Philip?
Oh, yeah. So basically, I'm the one who introduces the short episodes, but we're talking about the regular episodes, which deal with facts about history and the non-so-well-known facts about history. And we're approaching it not from a academic side, but more from an entertaining side. We talk about the obscure victories and losses of history. For example, the probably most... the worst player of golf in professional history is a beloved figure of ours. You really should give that episode a listen. And if German's not your cup of tea, there are plenty of other awesome podcasts you can listen about Maurice Flitcroft.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
just to give it an example.
And it's very entertaining, and you should definitely listen to it. And then you also have these bonus episodes where people have to guess, or you have to guess based on a series of clues, the historical figure. And I had the honor of being on some of those. But let me tell you something. They had on one of the episodes, they had a Swiss German speaking woman.
Yeah, I really effed that up. So I'm sorry again. Okay, so I'm really sorry.
If we were doing this fairly,
please forgive me.
This would be the part where I introduce some heavy Scottish dialect speaking English person to speak to you guys and ask you the question. But I'm not, because I'm a nice guy. I'm not going to do that. Now that we've got the introductions out of the way and people know where you're from, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your schedules. This is time that you, as great German podcasters, would be probably signing autographs on postcards or hanging out with groupies. I don't know what it is that big time podcasters do, but you took some time
taking
drugs.
The usual.
Actually, I mean it's 9 p.m. in the evening. I go to bed now.
Okay, rock and roll, I guess. Before we start, you're all Franconian. So the thing that I wanted to clarify is that we will be getting a very, very Franconian look at answer to these questions, I guess, because I know that Germany is very different from state to state, and in the other states, the culture is sometimes very different to what we experience here in Franconia. So,
and you should also keep in mind that although Franconia is part of Bavaria, we are actually not.
Yes, so. I discovered that very early on in my stay in Germany. I said it's something to some Franconians about being in Bavaria, and they're like, no. This is Unterfranken at that time. I was like, oh, okay, that actually makes a difference.
I mean, the comparison is basically like Catalan and Spain.
Yeah.
That's the same. So officially it may be part, but no one is really believing that.
Well, actually the Bavarians and the Franconians don't believe it, but yes. So that is the first thing. We're going to get a very different view, or a very Franconian view of the answers. We're probably not going to get to all the questions that you sent to me, but I'll try my best. And this is also my first time with 3 guests. So let's see how this goes. So let's start with the first question. This is from someone named Victoria, who sent me an email to info@thegermanexperience.de. And she asked me this: are Germans obsessed with fruit? My husband and I would love to move to Germany, and he has been looking at job postings in the IT space for opportunities. One thing we've noticed is the many, many postings that list fresh fruit among their job perks. Is there a fruit shortage in Germany? I love an apple as much as the next person, but find it a really interesting and baffling sales point for recruitment. Hoping you can clear this up. So, who wants to take this one?
I mean, I gotta ask you something first. So, without overthinking it, what comes to your mind when I say German cuisine?
I think of bratwurst or schnitzel, I guess.
Or braten or haxen, something like that. So all the good and all the heavy stuff. So traditionally in German cuisine, when you cook, you only would need an apple to like put it in the mouth of a Spanferkel, of a roasted pig. So that's where apple in our kitchen usually is. And that's very true for working environments as well. So if you're I was in a traditional German company, and the cantina, it was always a very traditional German food. There was always there was some fish and some vegetarian meal, but you always had a heavily German main dish there. And I can remember this one day, and I really thought that was really funny. It was World Vegetarian Day, and the main dish was a Schäuferler. which is like the most heavy meal you can think of. So it's like this huge amount of fat around meat on a bone. So it's really heavy. So and that's German kitchen. So I would say yes, it's pretty special to offer fruits to your employees.
It is, but I think it's also a lot of the startup culture that so many companies seem to be wanting to put. And for some reason, the thing that they've latched onto is fruit, free food for all.
I'm very happy that it's no longer table foosball. So that was the first iteration. It was always everybody had this indoor soccer table, and now they moved on to fruit.
Yeah, so we're making progress. I'm very curious as to the next craze for recruitment.
I have one anecdote, and I noticed last weekend when I visited my parents, and my mother did say something which I haven't heard her say in a long time, and I was reminded of my childhood, and this explains a lot. She if she doesn't like food, she says it tastes healthy. So this is the actual thing my mom says, and it really tells everything you need to know.
It's everything you need to know. Mm-hmm. Well, there you go, Victoria. I hope that answers your question. And I wonder if your husband ever found a job, because I guess you could just pick the place with the best fruit. I don't know. So now the next question is something that has come up a lot, and I've got 2 recordings to play you guys. The first one comes. The question actually came from a podcaster who was in Germany, and now she's moved on. I mean, she's not dead. She's still alive. She's not in Germany anymore. She asked the question that I get from a lot of other foreigners, or that I've heard from a lot of foreigners. And it's got to do with German pillows. By the way, this is Steph Fuccio from the Geopats podcast.
What the heck is up with German pillows? I don't know if it's just the places we're staying or the places I'm shopping in. I finally found a nice memory foam-ish kind of pillow at Muji that I've had before that I didn't take with me because I thought, hey, pillows will be great in Germany. But the pillows that have been in the apartments and that I've seen a lot in stores have seemed like clumps of cotton balls, and they've been very long or very tall or like take up half the bed. They just seem like weird sizes and shapes, and when you put your head on them, because they're the clumps of cotton ball kind of texture, your head basically goes straight to the bed without any lift. And so I'm a little confused. I did find some like orthopedic pillows that were like over €100 each, but those were in a special part of the store. The main pillows were, again, awkwardly big or awkwardly long without a whole lot of actual lift off of the bed. And I'm just kind of curious what's going on with German pillows.
She is very caught up on this lift issue. The lift issue is very, very important. I also love the hope when she leaves home. She's like, one of her thoughts, pillows will be great in Germany. That's just an expectation.
Did you mention where she was from?
She was originally, where's she originally from? I think she's originally from the United States of America, but she's lived as an expat in many different countries. So to follow on from that, I actually, in one of the very early episodes of the podcast, I spoke to the writers of a book who wrote a book called From the Bürgeramt to the Bedroom, which is also about being a foreigner, and it gives some tips to them. And this was me reading one of the passages from that book about German pillows. Last but not least, pillows. Probably the one thing that has most foreigners rolling their eyes, raising a confused eyebrow, and shaking their heads in bemusement. You see, pillows in Germany are not your standard rectangular haven of loveliness. No, not content with this. The Germans have created massive square monstrosities that have the approximate consistency of a soggy marshmallow. It doesn't matter how much you fluff them, pile them, or beat them. As soon as you lay your head on a German pillow, the stuffing retreats to all four corners, and your head is left languishing pathetically on the mattress. Why, Germany? Just why? So this is something that comes up often.
It's just something we don't know better, I guess.
Yeah?
No. I think this has a purpose. Yeah. This has a purpose on one hand to make you wake up on the next day and be like, oh, my shoulder's hurting. it can be the pillow. It's a German pillow, so it must be a draw. And of course, you don't close the window like at night or even the door, because it has to be cold in a German bedroom. Of course,
Of
like,
course,
that's
of
the way we
course.
like it. And also, one thing you don't get, like, all joking aside, like, the positive thing about this huge pillow is that it actually lifts your shoulders up, which is somewhat good for your back.
Yeah.
But I also totally understand you want more support for your actual head and want some more lift.
Would be nice.
So actually what you
Philip.
do is, like, you can fold it, but actually what you do is, like, you crunch it up so it's like a total mess until it works for you. And then the next morning you're like, this bed looks horrible. I have to make the bed. And then actually you see progress. It's not like it's not already fluffed up and it's nice and neat already. I only have to place it. No, you have to pick it up, this whole heavy thing. You have to shake it around and shake it like in the fairy tale. And then in the end you can put it down and be like, oh, it looks nice.
It looks nice.
Until I lay down again and mush it up all over again.
But doesn't this
And
seem
now
like a lot of work?
Yeah, now you see why he's the positive guy.
Yeah, I see.
Like,
I see.
He's a positive in everything.
I must admit, I didn't really, I hadn't really noticed that. So I have my own pillow, and it's kind of an orthopedic one, but they are you can get them in the supermarket by now. So you get them very, very cheap. But I take it everywhere I go. So because I always had the problem with hotel pillows, and I always thought this was a hotels thing.
He's like Linus from the Peanuts, like just with the pillow.
Now that's my son. He always drags this blanket around. So always. So I'm the pillow guy. He's the blanket guy.
Right.
So I wasn't really aware of that. So, but it's very interesting.
It's something that my wife and I noticed as well. Very soon on, we were just like, this can't be right. Like, this is not even worth a pillow. And like I think Steph said it, like clumps of cotton balls. It does feel like it just gets little balls inside there. There's little just like bundled together little things of cotton balls, and it just doesn't support your head. But that makes sense, Philip. What you're saying is that you're supposed to scrunch it up until it's perfect for you, and then it's actually.
Yeah, but to be honest, this is often when a cushion is quite old. Then you can bring it to basically a company that makes it fluffy again. I kid you not.
What?
Or you can wash it yourself and afterwards put it with some tennis balls into a dryer. This is also not a joke.
Okay.
This is like a thing you do.
Okay.
And afterwards it comes out and it's extremely fluffy again.
Well, there you go, Joe. People listening to this podcast, I never want to hear you complaining about German pillows again. If you dry it with tennis balls.
Yeah, but to be honest, like there's the other extreme. If I, for example, went to France, it's like, where's a fluffy pillow? It's like, why is this all flat and like consistent? This is weird. I cannot form this into something I really want. Because again, this is the actual marshmallow. Because like you lift your head up for a second and then it goes back into its original form, how it's supposed to be.
It was the perfect
That's not what
sound.
It was the perfect sound. It was the perfect sound.
Thank you.
Sean, I really have to stop myself making commercial here, because it's such a cliche that podcasts are presented by mattresses.
Yeah. And that's right. Now I want to tell you about Casper pillows, people.
Because the thing is, like a couple of years ago, I bought a mattress at one of the very famous modern mattress offerings online, and they offer a pillow plus, and it's exactly the kind of ergonomical shaped support. Core adapts perfectly to any position, etc., etc. And I really have to stop myself not to promote it here. So please proceed to the next question,
Okay,
Sean.
so Dominic has found the pillow of his dreams. That's all you need to know. That's all we're going to say. We've said too much, actually, because otherwise
you find me on Twitter under.
But that was very interesting what Philip said, because I didn't think of the fact that Germans are so used to these pillows that they go to somewhere else and they go like, "What the hell is this?" So. All right. So we clarified the German pillows thing. Yasmin spricht is someone who contacted me on Instagram to give me this question. Ask, what is your favorite onomatopoeic German word?
I mean, I really had to Google that word. I didn't know, but now that I know what it is, I really love it. I really love those German words that you don't really make sense, but they just sound nice. And there are a lot of them. There's like edgy betchy is something every German kid knows. Yeah, if you say I did something edgy betchy, so that every kid, I don't know, in the entire country knows. Or
What does that mean? Edgy bedgy?
it's like when somebody hurts himself or so, and you stand beside it and say edgy badge. So it didn't affect me.
The word. It's basically na 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 na
Yeah, it's
in written form.
Okay.
And we also have words like yodeling. So yodeling itself it's very German, but I couldn't really decide what my favorite word was. So I decided to bring you a poem.
Ooh, yes.
It's by Ernst Jandl, and I hope we have the time that I read it to you.
Yes.
It's not that long. It's called Schitzegrim. Schitzegrim, 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 Grim, Schitzegrim, Grim, Grim. Schützen, Schützegrim, Schützegrim,
What the hell?
This is what German sounds to foreigners, I guess.
That was beautiful.
Yeah,
I was moved.
That's what you learn in school. So in Germany. So I'm not sure, in 4th grade or so.
I feel offended.
I was trying to figure out if he was really reading something there, or if he was just making it up as he went along. But you were actually reading something.
I was actually reading it because I couldn't remember. I had to learn it at some point in my life, but I
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't really remember.
You learned that in school?
Yeah.
I've never heard that in my whole life.
What? I think it's from the area of Dadaism, right?
Yeah, I guess so. So it's
okay.
It's very famous, actually. I'm not kidding. It's really actually,
you have to send me that link for the show notes so that I can include it for people. Okay, so that I hope that answers your question, Yasmin spricht. Any other onomatopoeic words that you guys like?
I don't know about the other two, but I have a whole list of ones.
Yeah, I agree. It's like that's something I really enjoy. If there are comics that are written in German, they use those sometimes really weird words to do stuff. And one I quite like is, because it's hardly used anymore, is padouts, which is like a padoof, like something falls on the ground and breaks or stuff like that.
Padouts.
And it's like it sounds so old, and it has been used. It feels like, it's something your grandma would use in that kind of words. But it still works, and it's like a weird thing, because it's like you don't see it in written language very often, but it's also been around for ages. So that's basically why I like it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I have another one that's quite old. That's Tirillieren, which is from a German song, Alle Vögel sind schon da. And it's basically the noise birds make. So it's what do they do? Tweeting?
Tweet.
Burping?
To tweet.
No, and there's a whole list of nice German words like Remi Demi or Schickimicki or Klimbim or Pille Palle or Hallodri. So I could go on for ages.
Very good, very good. Well, we're going to stop you there. So let's move on. Then Randolph in the German Experience Facebook group, I think also today or yesterday, sent me a question. What are some of the most odd, offensive, or silly things that foreigners in Germany do, especially long-term residents, which a German might wish that they knew better not to do?
That's a tough one. I've noticed that many foreigners, they try very hard to fit in, which is actually something I really appreciate. So you've talked about it with Amy, she was called?
Yes.
And she told you how she tried to go to every school gathering and every meeting and every social opportunity that she gets. And that makes us feel or makes us seem to be a bit lazy. So if you could please tune it down a bit.
Take it down a notch.
No, but I'm really just kidding. So I really loved what Amy told her, and I really felt for her because she has such a hard time finding a connection to the locals.
Yeah. It's an episode that's gotten a lot of feedback, a lot of engagement, a lot of people commenting on that. People seem to go to that episode and refer to it a lot as well. So I definitely connected with a lot of the listeners as well. All right. This is from Lena, and she sent me an email with these questions. If there is one thing you could change about your country, what would it be?
Okay. I took on this question. Therefore, I'm going to answer it really quickly with 3 answers. So for me, it's number 1, internet connectivity. Come on. We can do better.
Yeah, you can, Germany.
So we're not that big. We can build up a decent infrastructure. And in some parts of Germany, this really works. But there are so many places where your internet connectivity, and I'm not even talking about like a wireless or something, like just landlines and stuff like that, is really, really bad. And come on, we can do better. Number 2 is understanding that shallowness is not only a bad thing. If you go into a supermarket, people could be friendly, even if they don't know you, but that's okay. But they could be friendly somehow. But like, if you've ever come into a German supermarket and have like your cart full of stuff and put everything onto, the place of the cashier, you will quickly find out how to react really fast and do your stuff, because
Yes.
this is like an Olympic discipline in Germany. It's like, pack your stuff in, bam, 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 bam. And there's no one there to help you pack up or stuff like that. And the third thing is enthusiasm. I think in Germany it has often a very bad aftertaste, and it's I would say it smells like, oh, there's a charlatan or someone who wants to sell you some not so good stuff. And actually enthusiasm can help people, and it does not need to be shallow and stupid. And come on, let's not leave enthusiasm to marketing and stupid stuff.
Right.
We can use it for good stuff.
Yeah. So you want more enthusiasm, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For
But
fruit,
probably
for example.
For fruit.
Germany.
More enthusiasm for fruit.
But again, that's a very Franconian answer. So we have a saying here, "Bastjo"
Yes.
is like the greatest you can say about something. So and it's like, it's okay.
Good enough.
It
Good enough.
passed.
And-
Yeah, it fits.
And
It
you
works.
can't get a Franconian person more excited than that. So and that explains a lot.
But even like, I would say like the direct opposite, like some from, I would say like Cologne, they're like more, some people say like they're more shallow, but they're more easily to connect to.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because in some areas of Germany, it's really hard to ever connect to people.
Mhm.
But once you do that, you have a friend for life. But
yeah.
if you're only there for half a year, you won't find even not a temporary friend. It will be hard.
Yeah.
So come on, a little bit of like more openness and let there be some shallowness, and afterwards build up a decent friendship over time.
I think you're going to have a lot of fans after this for that little speech, Philip, because I think a lot of listeners feel exactly that way. They're like, "Where's the enthusiasm, Germany?
Yeah.
Where's the life?" But I've got.
But again, I'm the theater and improv guy, so this is my cup of tea.
Yeah. I think it's something that I've had to very much get used to, because Franconia is tough. I remember going to Hamburg for the first time and walking around there, and I'm like, what is wrong with people smiling and happy? What is going on? And you don't realize just how, I mean, I love Franconians now. Like, now that I understand them more or less, like how to deal with them. But it is quite a shock for people when they come up
you just shouldn't take it personally. So it actually isn't meant to push you away. It's just the way people tick. So you have to know that, and then you can get along very well.
Yeah.
And there are several areas of Germany where people are like that. Like, for example, like in very northern Germany, like people on islands and stuff like that, they are very like, people say about them like it's even way, way harder to connect to people than here.
Yeah, very interesting. It's nice to hear Germans talking about that.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, it's a slow burn. Like, if you get their trust and if you get their love, then they will love you for all time.
Yes,
exactly.
I mean, I'd basically say that's what we have like invented Kirchweih and stuff like that for. It's like to get a chance to easier connect to people. So it's all about that, right?
Yeah, it is.
So it's not about churches. So it maybe it used to be in the beginning, but it's not.
Yeah. I like I said, I like when Germans say that, because I've made some friends here in this village with people who come from North Germany, and they feel here as much of as an Ausländer as I feel, and I'm really an Ausländer. But they like the things that we have in common when we talk to each other. It's the same, and I'm like, wow, that is amazing that you guys are Germans, and yet you feel like you're outsiders here as well.
Because they are.
Because they are. I mean, North Germany, I can't help them there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the first question that came from Lena. The next one that she had is, Why do most Germans still pay by cash at businesses? And I know Dominic is not the one to be asking this question.
I have a very, very, very strong opinion about that. And my opinion is, oh my God, you're so right.
Yeah.
That's such an antique way of handling things.
It is.
And I mean, if I'm not quite sure in which order you bring the questions up, and it's probably the one thing I would change about Germany.
Okay.
Because I mean, of all the horrible things that COVID-19 really did to us as a society, this is the one positive thing, perhaps, that now finally you see. You see signs in German supermarkets, hey, can you please pay without cash? And I remember back in April when the first Aldi showed something like that, then I literally, the first thing I did, like I took a picture and sent it to Sean.
Yeah, I remember.
I was so happy because I'm really known to have no cash whatsoever, and PayPal is my biggest friend in the whole world. I really love PayPal. So yeah,
this is the thing I learned about Dominic is he never has cash on him. When we go to a beer garden or something, he would always say at the beer garden, like, Sean, you can pay for me, right? And then I'm like, yeah. And then you just know he's going to PayPal you later and give you the money back. Or if anything happens, you have to PayPal Dominic the money, or he just hates cash. He hates cash.
That's very un-German of you, Dominic, but I totally can relate. I could totally go without cash, and I hope that this pandemic brings like good things like this for us.
So to the next question, and this actually comes from Amy that we spoke about from the episode about making friends in Germany, and she has a long vent, let's put it that way. So this is what she wrote. I'm just going to read it verbatim here. One of the things I really appreciate about Germany is that the majority of people follow cultural rules, making for a more pleasant society, at least compared to the USA, in my opinion. Drivers pass on the left, they stop at crosswalks, people recycle their trash, and they keep quiet on Sundays. Germans are known for their rules and rule following. So why, in God's name, can Germans not manage to wait their turn in line? The basic tenor of civilized society is something we all learned in kindergarten. Wait your turn. It's very simple, or so I thought. Just today, I was at the market in line. A checker opened a new line. The guy behind me bolted around to get to the front of the new line, knowing full well that myself and other people were in front of him. This happens all the time, and no one ever says, oh no, you go ahead, you were first. It happens almost every day in the bakery. People walk in and go directly to the counter, completely disregarding the rest of us already waiting. Do they think we're just hanging out in the bakery for fun? Unless there's a clear cordoned off queue, Germans seem to be completely oblivious to the simple act of common decency. Please help me understand, and why does it seem like no one else is bothered by this? Wow, Amy.
Thank you so much for that, because I 100% agree. I've read that question up front and it was like, yes,
preach,
yes.
Sister.
Yes, exactly, because it's the absolute thing. Like, it's what she said. I go to the supermarket and I leave my distance to the person in front of me, to someone behind me, and someone just walks in front of me and passes me by, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And on the other hand, like, we're often too introverted to really say, like, hey, come on, let's go to the back. Come on,
yeah.
Let's queue like a civilized person. No, we stand there and we are enraged, like, into ourselves. And when then someone talks to us, like the cashier lady, you're like, yeah, of course I'm gonna pay with the card. She's like, what's up with the guy? And like, but you have to keep in mind, like, oh, the German eats up all the anger deep inside and then lets it out, like, from time to time to its colleagues, his friends, like, to everyone he or she will meet.
That makes a lot of sense.
I have a follow-up question to my two fellow Germans. Do you feel like that could be because that's not really a rule, but a social rule, instead of being like something that could be enforced by law?
Yeah, but in the supermarket, there's just one line, because what I wanted to say is, like, the worst possible situation is if you don't know from which side the queue is. That's the worst ever. Because there are people queuing from the left and from the right, and that it's just civil war. That's just just warfare.
And to be honest, I was in France in a supermarket, and those supermarkets, by the way, they're really awesome. And there was a huge line. I was like, oh God, we're going to stand there forever. But then I saw like this line was moving super fast because there were like 10 cashier booths and this one big line, like whoever was up in front and it was like, oh, this cashier booth is free, went there. Then the next person just went there and like, I was like, why can't we have this? This is beautiful. I want this.
But I would be really hesitant if nobody sees it like her, because I mean we're quite on the same page here, and this is my experience from daily life. So I guess that's a known problem, and many people have been scarred, if you know what I mean. Like I've been betrayed by someone in the queue before. Now I will betray him before he betrays me.
It's like a cycle.
Like that.
It's just a cycle of despair.
We have to break through.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I've been to festivals where people knew each other or were very like cool to one another, and there was like super nice discipline in terms of queuing, and it was like, oh my God, it works even with really, really a lot of people.
Right.
It's so nice.
Yeah, it could be nice. We could have something really nice. So come on, Germany, let's make it an official law. I think that's what we actually need to do. Basically, what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
it needs to be an official.
I mean,
law.
in other countries, I would say like, let's start a petition or like let's pass it on because it's like the goodwill, and we will show people.
No, we need like
where we're in Germany, we need
police force in the supermarket.
The army,
army with tear gas and this water cannons and stuff like that. So that
and we need a word for it, like I don't know, whatever, and
a good
Gesetz. No.
Warteschlangen Ungeduldigkeit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Warteschlangen That's really great.
I like it. That's the crime.
That's really German.
That's the crime. So, Amy, look at what you've done. You look at what you've done. You're forcing a police state, Amy, and if this happens, we're gonna blame you. So. Let's move on to the next question. Richard sent me a number of questions, but some of them would need their own podcast episode on their own. So I just had to choose one. And his question is, do Germans see the point of the bureaucracy they're expected to live with? Do they find it reassuring or frustrating? Does it have to be that way, or could it be streamlined? Is there or has there ever been an interest in curbing it, or is it just mutating over the years?
Yes. I guess we find it reassuring, and there also has been an interest to just change that, but nobody really follows through with that. But my theory is we find it reassuring because there's no. We talked about social code and stuff like that. So there's no social code to bureaucracy. So you can just cling to your paper, to your paragraph, to your form. So you don't have to think about how to talk to a person or who to bribe or who to flirt with or something like that. So with the paper, everybody is equal. So paper treats everybody equal. And we can always push the responsibility away from us. So we can always say, hey, it's not you, it's not me, it's the paperwork. So I'm not really sure how we can get out of this situation, because we also feel like that sucks. Yeah. But we kind of gotten used to it, and we try to use it. So for example, you can always tell how serious somebody is about something by checking how well he or she filled out the form for it. So you can always see if he put the name on the right line from the beginning, or if he crossed it off and put it in the next line, or if he wrote out of the columns and stuff like that. So you can always tell, is he really serious about this, or is he not? So maybe that's a thing.
I think you've just given me a conscience. Next time I fill out a form, I'm going to be so fucking stressed about how I fill out that form. I'm like, what am I saying by what I'm doing here?
And just recently, I've noticed that when I bring my son to the kindergarten, so now in times of Corona, we have to sign a sheet of paper every morning. It's our own sheet. So every morning we have to print out a sheet and sign it that neither we nor my son is ill. So,
okay.
And that's, I feel like that gives us just a little feeling of control in such an overwhelming situation. So I don't really see the point in that. So it doesn't prove anything, because you would be totally lying if I had a cough or something. We would still put our sign to it. but it just feels like, okay, we're taking
I'm
back
recording
control.
this, buddy.
I thought you always talked about cutting things out, but only when you. Okay, that's
when it's bad for me. That's when I cut out.
I see.
Otherwise, that shit stays in.
No. But so what do the others think about that?
Yeah. What do the others think?
I would say I agree. It's like, it's something we cling to, and it's like, it's exactly what you said. It's like, oh, I can't do anything about it. I'm really sorry. It's a bureaucracy, and it treats everyone fairly unfair. It's like, it's unfair to everyone, so it's overall fair. It's like chaotic neutral, I would say.
It's really shitty.
Sean, we already talked about famous movies in Germany, and one thing that everyone in Germany knows is Asterix.
Yeah.
So it's a comic series. I think it's originally from France or from Belgium. I'm not quite sure.
Everybody knows the number of the Passierschein.
Yeah. So there's in one of the movies there in the house that makes insane people, or I'm not quite sure, mad people would be the right translation, and it's basically German bureaucracy as a sketch. So speaking of links for your audience, we should definitely include that there, and that's Passierschein A38, and that's basically Germany in a nutshell.
Yeah. So for me, I don't mind the bureaucracy. This is something that comes up a lot, and I hear it a lot, and it's quite a stereotype about Germany. But the thing is, I come from South Africa, and the mistake that people make is to think that only Germany has bureaucracy. South Africa has bureaucracy, but the problem with the South African bureaucracy is it doesn't work. It's like all of this crap that you have to do, but the system falls apart somewhere inevitably. It doesn't matter where you're looking at, it falls apart. And I spoke to someone from Kenya on this podcast as well, and Tanya from Kenya, and she had the same kind of thing. Like, we just love that things are going to work. If you're applying for something, there's no tricks, there's no slipping someone a €50 note or something that's going to get it faster. I mean, maybe there is. I don't know. Maybe I'm naive about this, but generally I wouldn't try that because I'm so terrified to do that. But in South Africa and in Kenya, that's kind of the norm. They're expecting you to give them a little extra something to slip this procedure by or whatever. So I just love German bureaucracy because it just feels like it works. It's just like, I know what I'm getting. I know that I have to fill out 700 different papers for this, but it works.
I think the big thing is, if you know what you need and where to get it, it can be really easy. For example, I tried to register a trade when I was 18, 19. And I went in, there was like, oh, this is going to cost me 2-3 hours. I went in, 10 minutes later, I was out and everything was done. And I'm like, what's this? And also like doing stuff like, oh, I want to change where I live. Nowadays, you can do this online. It gets better over time. And if you know what you need, it's really, really fast.
Yeah.
But if you don't exactly know, or if you encounter someone who's in a bad mood, it can take forever and be like a big struggle.
Yeah.
And I mean, Sean, what's Beamter in English? Is it civil servant?
Yeah,
is that a concept which is known throughout the world?
Yeah, civil servant.
Okay, because civil servants are still a thing in Germany. I mean, they used to be, like in the 60s and 70s, that was really something. But these days, I guess there are not that many anymore. But basically, as a civil servant, the first thing you learn as a civil servant is actually to check if you're the responsible person for that. Like, that's the official first thing that you learn to do, is like really show if you need to take care of that, or if you can move that to someone else. Like, that's the official first rule.
Yeah, there is that aspect. And I think also the other difficult thing about, or why foreigners have this picture in their mind, is that they are inevitably, the first thing that they do is these Anmeldungen and visa stuff. And that is exactly right. So one person will say one thing because they're in a mood, and then the next day when you go back with those instructions, you come across someone else that says this is what is, or they, like Dominic says, they send you to someone else to sort you out. That is their first impression of Germany, is trying to get that visa and those Anmeldungen stuff sorted out. And that is a mess, actually, sometimes.
And they are the exact opposite of like, how you say, like, they're not a service providing industry.
No,
they're more like, it's really a shame that there's no one there who's like, oh wait, you want a passport, but so your old passport ran out, so you actually have one, but you need to read it. Oh, then you have to go there. have fun.
Yeah.
Like a guide for stuff like that would really, really be helpful.
Like a Walmart greeter.
Yes, something like that. Like someone who basically does like easy entrance stuff and sort you to the different departments and know who to talk to.
Actually, a pro life tip. I got somebody like that for all my insurance stuff. So basically, I've got one person that's independent from any insurance company. So he's independent and he doesn't get paid by me, but just by signing with the insurance companies. So and he deals with everything insurance related. So when I hit my car next to a lamppost or something, I just make photos, send him over an email explaining what happened, and he deals with everything. So I can just really recommend something like that.
And this is the second sponsor of this podcast.
Yeah, there we go. We're just slipping them in. You guys are professionals.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So that's Richard's question. Richard, I hope that answers your question somewhat. Then I got a message I think it was an email from someone named Ari who wrote, "My wife is from Munich and we currently live in Northern California. I have a question that is simple. Someone please explain the shelf in some German toilets. This next question is a little uncalled for, but why do they study their poop? I mean, they're just assuming that you're studying your poop on those shelves. And what does it tell you?"
I mean, just to get that right. So,
just to clarify.
We need to clarify. So what the world is used to is like the poop going directly into the water, right?
Yeah. So you like exactly. I think a lot of Americans, a lot of people from Britain, me from South Africa, had these toilets where there's just a hole and like the poop goes directly down into the water. Exactly.
We have a word for that, Dominic.
Do we?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. We have
Tiefspüler and Flachspüler.
That's a Tiefspüler.
Ach so, a Tiefspüler and a Flachspüler. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then the Flachspüler was actually the toilet that I first had when I moved to Germany. And my wife and I were astounded by this because that is such an uncomfortable way to go to the toilet if you're not used to it. I was just flushing the whole time when I had to go. I would just continuously flush because I handle it. Yeah, like I don't want to deal with that shit.
Please go.
So
I did a bit of research. It's like we've reached a point of like 90% market share of Tiefspüler. So actually, it's not that common anymore.
That's true.
But you're totally right. It was a very common thing.
I like that. I like that you know the market share of Tiefspüler versus Flachspüler. I feel like that's valuable knowledge that this podcast is giving you.
I've also read that it's still a thing, mainly, and that's where she came from with the question. It's still a thing in many doctors' offices. So you still actually, and places where you have to check your poop from time to time.
That's practical.
They're still a thing.
That's practical.
But now you have your episode title. So Germany, what does poop and pillows do have in common?
Literally no
being
one
outdated.
Yeah. Literally no one is going to listen to this episode because they're going to see that. And if they happen to click on that title, they're going to be met with...
But I have also a question about this. So don't you have the feeling that a Tiefspüler sometimes is a bit too splashy?
Yeah,
it's called Poseidon's Kiss.
Yeah. but doesn't that also make you feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, I guess it does, but not as uncomfortable as the inspection platform.
Okay.
To be honest, pro-life tip, take a little bit of a tissue and put it into the Tiefspüler.
Mm-hmm.
Then you won't happen to get to know Poseidon's Kiss.
There we go. And listeners, never say that you don't learn anything from this podcast. That is those are the nuggets of wisdom they're coming here for. That's what they want to hear.
And on the other way, if you have a Flachspüler and you're like, oh, it won't go down well. Again, place down some tissue paper. Like, don't overdo it, but like it helps.
You make a little bed for it.
You make,
and
it's like a whole routine before you start.
Okay. And hello, cliche
you can also
Germans talking about excrement.
Yeah, they finally got you where I want you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to wrap it up. I've got two more questions for you because one I literally just saw came on my Facebook group a few seconds ago, so I'll save that one for last. The other one that I want to speak about, seeing as though we are talking about toilets, in a recent episode this is more just my surprise than anything else. But in a recent episode, I spoke with a Brazilian and a Belgian about how strange it is for us as males who came to Germany that we have to that it's expected that you sit down to pee in Germany. That was a big culture shock because, I mean, we're literally accustomed to doing this our whole lives. And so there was a whole discussion in that episode. I won't go into it now. But what blew my mind, and I just need to get it up here, is I got a message from another colleague of mine named Patrick Niedermeyer, and I'm just going to play it for you.
I was just watching your short episode with the two guys about peeing in, sitting down to pee in Germany. Do you know about those automatic toilet seats? Not those automatic closing toilet seats, but those who make sounds when you open them. I was once at a friend's house and I was very young then and wanted to pee standing while peeing, and opened the toilet seat, and then it made a sound and was screaming at me, which I was frightening at that moment. First of all, because I got scared of the screaming noise that came from the toilet seat, but also it was that loud that everybody else, all the other guests, could definitely hear that in the room next door, which is a bummer because it's kind of a social thing not to do. And now you're outed yourself as a standing peer, which is pretty bad. I just need to tell you that because I think that's just brilliant German engineering.
So he outed himself as a standing peer because someone had basically booby-trapped a toilet seat that when you lift it, it screams. Do you know about these toilets? Because what I must just mention, like, people won't see this video, but you guys were all on board when he was talking about automatic toilet seats, and then he mentioned that it screams at you when you open, and you like both were like, "What? No!"
Yeah, I mean, I know about the self-cleaning ones, you have them at the Autobahn, and I thought he was talking about that. I've never heard of screaming toilet seats, but what
me too.
I think
what
it's
came
just
to my
Patrick.
mind is there is this legend of German swimming pools, or I'm not sure if it's German thing, of swimming pools where you have this blue ink reacting with when somebody pees into it, so that you have like this blue underwater cloud, and everybody can call you out on peeing into the water. It's basically it comes from the same spirit, I guess.
Right. Or it's
by the way, I really like that. He said, like, oh, I was outed as someone who was standing to pee. Because actually, in Germany, there's this word, it's called Sitzpinkler, which means like, oh, you're someone who sits down to pee. So like you're not really a man who is able to stand up and piss everywhere. And like afterwards, everything's dirty. Haha, you don't do that. You're stupid. But I really like that he basically turned it around.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was interesting to me. I was just horrified that such a thing would exist, that if it was real. I think Patrick needs to reevaluate his friendships.
But by the way, if you cannot buy this as a product, I'm willing to build you one if you pay me.
There you go. All right, so this is the last question before we wrap up, and it's literally 33 minutes old, so I haven't vetted it yet. But Henrik on the Facebook group is asking the big questions. A case of beer, is that a Kiste or a Kasten?
That question I leave up to the beer drinkers.
I would say it's a Kasten.
I also would agree. You also could say it's a Kiste, and everybody would understand you, and you wouldn't make a fool of yourself if you told that. But a Kiste is. It sounds like it would be some wooden box or something where you can put your beer into, and that just is not anymore. It's not very usual anymore. So I would say it's Kasten.
All
so
right.
especially we were speaking before about being young, and there would be something which you say like, besorgst du noch einen Kasten?
Yeah,
Kastenbier. You would never say that. Besorgst du noch eine Kiste Bier?
But you would.
You could also say that. So it's not that clear.
But to be honest, if you say Kasten, it implicitly says beer. You would never say a Kasten full of wine.
Right.
That you don't do. It's only for beer.
No, not really.
Or
you also
for water and
you have this Kasten system with fun.
Yeah, it's basically those things where are like bottles are separated from one another. Like,
and you have that for apple juice and for lemonade and for beer and for everything. So that's everything. It is a Kasten.
But for example, if you bring home a box like made out of like a carton box where are 6 bottles of wine in there, it's obviously a Kiste.
You can always
not a Kasten.
go the pro drinking route and say bring a K20. So it's a K20. So that's means like ein Kasten, and you also tell how many bottles should be in there.
Okay, there you go. Lots of pro tips here.
There are differences as well.
Okay.
Never heard that.
So you go for a keg. So that's fine as well.
Yeah. So when I read the question, I thought, what is the big deal about this? But it turns out that there is a lot behind this question. So thank you very much, Henrik, for that question. Oh, he also has a second part of his question, which is unrelated. What is the difference between a Blaubier and a Heidelbeer?
I never got that either.
Yeah.
I guess there's none.
There is none. There is none, Henrik. There we go.
Yeah, I think there are also a lot of words that are in the German language that, like, they're basically the same, but in everyday usage. But some of it is like then, oh, actually, and I could just imagine that, like, oh, a Heidelbeer is actually way smaller than a Blaubeere. But in everyday life, like, you use it as it's the same thing.
Right.
But it can get also really weird with stuff like that. So because you have like Rotkohl and Blaukraut, which is basically the same, but it's two different colors. And which confuses my 5-year-old, and he always says it's lila kraut. So basically it's velvet because that's what the actual color is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it all means the same.
All right. So there we go. It's all the same. Philip, Jürgen, and Dominic, thank you so much. It's such an honor to have you come on the podcast as guest. I was very excited when you said that you would come on, and I'm so glad that you did. And it's been very entertaining. You guys are very funny. Never fail to make me laugh. And thank you also to all the people who asked the questions and sent their questions in. And if you get questions, if you think of questions for a future episode, people, just send them to me. I will save them somewhere, and then I will hope to do this kind of episode again in the future. So
thanks for inviting us. That really was fun for us too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and awesome questions.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining.
Bye. Thanks, Sean.
Bye.
I'll speak to you next week. Auf Wiederhören. What is your favorite onomatopoeic word, German word? Let me say that again. What is your favorite Jesus Christ? It's really not going to come out, is it?